Hey everybody, this is Dr. David Evans. We're happy for all of our viewers around the world who's watching right now the PIC TV Network Business World News Channel 1011. And those who are watching with us all over the world in Germany, Panama, Ireland, Peru, Chile, United Kingdom, United States, all over the world. We have a hot topic tonight. I'm telling you, people are watching right now, literally on Facebook. Thank you. Our Facebook page is up right now, the PIC TV Network. Thank you. Spread the word. Those who are watching on YouTube, we thank you for watching the PIC TV Network everywhere. We have some special guests tonight, and we have one of the hottest topics on earth that you're going to be really, really touched by and inspired. So get your pencil, get your pad. We're going to talk about eating healthy foods for life. Wow. This is going to be one of the hottest topics that we have had on our PIC TV Network Business News Channel. We're going to have our panel to introduce themselves. We have an awesome panel tonight, and we're going to start with box number one and go all the way down. Come on, introduce yourself tonight.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Hodge, media planner, and I'm grateful to be here. Looking forward to the conversation this evening. It is a much needed conversation, especially when it comes to our families, our children, and knowing how to harness the power of healthy foods.
Hi everybody, I'm Michelle the Computer Lady, and I totally agree with Jason. Eating healthy, making sure we have healthy lifestyles keeps us growing and thriving. And now to you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Selena White, and I cannot agree with Jason and Michelle more. I tell you, it's nothing better than a healthy lifestyle. It not only helps your physical, but it also helps your mental. So I'm very excited about being here tonight and joining in with the panel of discussion.
Hi, how are you? And I'm Patricia Frudenberg, and I am subscriber to Eating Well, here to talk about healthy lifestyle eating. Over to you, David.
Thank you again. You know, everybody's watching right now. This is a wonderful topic we're going to go on over tonight. We're getting ready to get down to business. So those who are watching right now, get your family, get your friends, get your pencil, get your pads, because this topic is a series and it starts right now. All right, let's talk about it right now. Eating healthy foods for life. I want to open up, and go all the way to Seattle, Washington to Jason. You know, Jason, when we talk about foods today, it's everything you have salt in it, sugar in it, high fructose in it, corn syrup. These things are killing us. You know, we have a generation that is raised up right now on fast foods. I'm not going to say any restaurant names for safety purposes, but we know where the hamburgers are sold and the French fries are sold. And it just doesn't make any sense for somebody to get rich off of killer foods. Come on, Jason, talk to us, brother.
Well, the first thing is we have to identify what actually is food, because there's so many things that are misclassified as food that are not actually nourishing to the body. It should not be in the category of food. So we have to get back down to foundational information. What food actually is. Food are things that allow the body to operate, to metabolize, to derive energy, to build itself. And if anything is taken away from that, it should not be categorized as food. So when you go and talk about the fast food chains and the burgers and all the chemicals that are put inside of the quote unquote food, what you're finding is that they should actually put a hazmat sign on. They should put a hazmat sign on those things because it's not food. So let's start at the basics. Food are things, they grow out of the earth. They nourish the body. And if they're not nourishing, don't classify it as food. So that's my opening statement.
I'm thinking about what you just said, man. That just resonates with me and so many people around the world who's watching our business channel. You know, we need to be educated on what we put in our body. So many people are so, they're more serious about what type of gas they put in their tank, high octane, not regular unleaded, versus food. Michelle, let's go all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia. Michelle, you are work with TV Network. You are a PR person. You're expert in AI, artificial intelligence, and we were talking about this last week, Michelle, about foods, healthy and unhealthy. Talk about, Michelle, some of the things that can help us. You were talking about some herbs and some things last week that will help our body.
Well, let's start with the basics. A lot of times we don't eat healthy enough just from the beginning. So making sure that we have these bright, wonderful colors when we eat, making sure that we're getting fruits and vegetables. A good herb or a good supplement is garlic. Garlic's a natural supplement. It's great for you. And then onions. People all over the world season with onions. So there's onions, garlic, then rosemary, thyme, oregano. Turmeric is also a really great and anti-inflammatory for the body. As somebody that's battled breast cancer, I know how important it is to eat healthy. The other thing is knowing where your vegetables and fruit and your meats are sourced from. Some people go to a vegan diet. I'm not a vegan. I eat meats, but I know where my meats come from. I know where they're sourced from. And then I also know that they're not raised with antibiotics or hormones, those things that can help me, because my cancer was estrogen receptive. So I don't eat things like soy or anything that would have that type of chemical in there that would set off a cancer in my body. And you talked about sugar. Well, the easiest way to get out of the whole sugar kick is to eat honey and monk fruit. Honey is the only fruit, and it is a fruit, that doesn't spoil as long as there's no additives of water or anything else. But honey can last forever. It does not spoil. All right, Dr. Evans, back to you.
Uh, yeah, I'm taking notes as you talk a little bit about this. I want to talk to Patricia. We're going to go all the way to New York right now. You're watching the PIC TV network, our business world channel. Patricia, how important it is for us to drink water and can consistently keep our body hydrated.
Well, if you think about it, thanks for asking. Water really is purifying in so many things. And just think, like, how do you clean stuff? Water, so it nourishes us. How does the trees grow? How do the flowers grow? Water, so water is so really purifying on so many levels. But I also have something I would like to add to this table, pardon the pun, and that's the topic on air frying and also pressure cooking, ways of cooking good food, because I recently found out that air frying and boiling or pressure cooking are basically the only ways that liptoids will be removed from fatty meats. There's no other process that can do that. Grilling does not do that. Frying does not do that. Baking does not do that. So air frying and pressure or boiler. And I would love to throw that back out to the table for any comments. I'm done speaking.
Thank you. Yes, I have an air fryer, and it changed my life. All that grease when we cook, it's in the bottom of that air fryer. You need to get one if you don't have one. That will help save your life. You're watching the PIC TV network. Our Business World channel is on the air right now. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to go all the way to Salisbury, Maryland. Ms. White, I want you to talk a little bit about how you feel about eating healthy foods. Come on.
Well, I'm going to take a little twist on it, Dr. Evans. Thanks for asking. From a biblical standpoint, I don't think that we actually take the time out to realize that we are responsible for what we consume in our bodies. The scripture in Romans 12:1 says, I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. And a lot of times, because we don't realize that we have an obligation to manage what we eat, we just consume whatever we think that we want at whatever time that we want, right? So I think the mindset literally has to change about the perspective of why we eat food and what food actually does to the body, um, the harm, and what nutritional value that we actually get, and how it benefits us not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. Because when we take on certain foods, especially sugar, sugar is like a weight. It makes you immediately sluggish. And if you're sluggy, you have no energy, and it affects your passion, it affects your drive. And then with children, we find when they have too much sugar, then they're diagnosed with having some type of attention deficit because they're just, they're either too hype or, you know, they're on the down. So I think from a biblical standpoint, I think we need to realize that we have an obligation to ourselves, um, and to God to be mindful of exactly what we do consume. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing, because we're supposed to be eating foods that will help us to live a full life. And that's exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden. God said every tree is good for you to eat of, so there was all types of fruit on those trees that was good for the body. I'm going to go back to Seattle, Washington, and I'm going to ask all of you guys the same thing. Jason, when you look at the Black African American neighborhood, I grew up in Northwest Washington, and it was amazing, man. Growing up in the 70s and the 80s and even in the 90s and 2001, there's Chinese food everywhere, and my favorite food was shrimp fried rice. Then we went to lo mein. Then we had the egg roll. And then we had the wings with mumbo sauce.
You have to cue the music, Omnipotent back down memory lane.
I know, but I'm just saying, Jason, in our neighborhood, man. Then you have every fast food place. I can't name restaurants because of safety reasons for us. But every one of those neighborhoods restaurants is fast food, and all that was grease, from the chicken sandwiches to the burgers to the fries. Talk about why is it in our neighborhood and where we grew up in the Black community, we oversaturated with fast food places, and just we in line getting it. We in line eating it. Are we killing ourselves, Brother Jason? Come on.
Well, yeah. Anytime that anybody, chooses those things, there's a few factors involved, because there's one way that I could look at it from the standpoint and speak to it from, we're killing ourselves. But the reality is, when we are trained, or that becomes a part of the culture, and this doesn't matter who you are, when it becomes a part of the culture and the price is the guiding factor, then the choices that are made when you don't have the finances in order, or you don't think that you have the finances in order to get better and do better, you make that choice for that happy, well, I almost said the funny meal. We'll say that so it doesn't. Okay, so you make the choices for those dollar menu meals, because you're like, hey, I got $1, let me get this, let me fill up. Now the hard part about that is that if you don't study the body and understand why, when you eat this exorbitant amount of calories, a lot of fat, salt, sugar, the whole deal, devitalized bread, hold up the double quote signs on that as well, and then you put that into your system, and then you're hungry again later on because it didn't satisfy, because it was nutritionally devoid. It had no nutritional value. Your body then takes in the bulk, and it's saying, okay, I'm full, because the stomach expands, and it's like, all right, so it sends the signals to the brain, okay, you're full. Shortly thereafter, when the body tries to extract the nutrient and energy from that food, and it can't do it because there's nothing there, then you got to eat again. And you're like, man, I don't know, I'm hungry again, but then you get in the habit of eating more and more and more. So you're piling on the calories, minimizing the nutrients. Your body then has to deal with the onslaught of all the acid and poisons that are in the food. Most folks don't realize this, but your fat cells do more than just make you big. The fat cells are actually the body's defense mechanism in order to suck up the toxins in your system. If there's too much acid in the system, the body goes through what's called a lipogenesis factor. Okay, the lipogenesis factor, or the lipogenesis, is lipo, fat, genesis, the creation of. So it creates the fat in order to handle the excess acid, the excess fat soluble waste, in order to keep it away from the vital organs in your system. So it's our defense mechanism. So if you go and you suck out all the fat with liposuction and all of that because you don't want the fat, what you're doing is you're minimizing your body's ability to defend itself from the poisons that get into your system. So that's a long way of saying that because we are misclassifying subsidized food as food, okay, because it's subsidized, the reason why it's in there and they cook that food inside of the neighborhoods is because it's cheap. It's cheap to manufacture because it is subsidized by the companies to put it into economically disparaged communities in order to feed the vehicle of the medical industry. Okay, that when you make a person sick or give them what is going to continue the sickness, and then there's a price tag attached to it, because if I know that all I have to do is leave you to your own devices, subsidize the food that goes into your system, into your community, that food is going to break you down. You're going to have to now visit the medical industry, the hospitals, the medical centers, the pharmacies, the urgent cares, and all of that. There's money involved in that. And so on the other side of that is a high price point. Taxpayers go in, they pay that. So the industry itself ends up profiting off of your losses. It's a zero-sum game. So there's a financial benefit that the companies have in place. And if you connect the dots and look at how many of those organizations, from the pharmaceutical to the medical industry and those that govern those, actually sit on the board of these different fast food chains. Find that out. You'll see something that's quite surprising. And that's under the guise of economic development, but it's killing the people in there. So long way of answering that question, but I think that the subsidization, we need to look at that, but then we need to have the time to be able to look at that. And when you have a family whose parents are working 2 and 3 jobs just to keep food on the table, lights on, kids in school, and then the kids start out at the schools before school program, going through the schools during school program, and then after school program, they spend probably a couple of hours with their family at the most, actually connecting. And so then there's not enough time to actually cook at home in order to make that connection. So you grab something on the way home because you're dog tired. You've just been working 2 or 3 jobs. Kids are dog tired. They don't want to sit down and eat healthy food because they've been programmed to eat the waste. Their body has grown addicted to the waste. And so then you've got this vicious cycle. So it's a very complex situation that's going on in these homes. And it is being subsidized by the companies that will ultimately benefit financially from the demise of these communities. It's Jason Hodge. I'm done. I think you're on. Oh, you're on.
Yeah, but
Thank you, Jason. People are coming up on our social media platforms, chatting in, giving comments, thumbs up, everything, hearts on this subject tonight. And that was professionally put together. I want to go down to Atlanta, Georgia, to ask Michelle a question about food addictions. Michelle, you live in Atlanta, Georgia. Probably know about the hood, know about the suburbs. Michelle, is there places that you dare not eat at because you know who's behind the counter? The food is hidden before they even eat it. Michelle, talk about that. I want you to hit it hard, Michelle, because you've been there, you've done that, you know what's going on. So to our audience, I want to hear some real talk from you, Michelle, about is it deliberately put there, and where you know certain places you won't even go to because you know what it's about before you walk in the restaurant.
Well, here's the deal, Dr. Evans. We know that a lot of disadvantaged communities, especially communities of color, are what we call food deserts. That means they only have what restaurants will go in there. And those restaurants are, as Jason said, supplanted by having all these cheap foods that people can get. Now, even if you think about that, they don't even have really good grocery stores, because we talk about our upscale grocery stores, Wegmans, Whole Food, Kings, that kind of thing. And they don't have access or even a farmer's market to get fresh fruits and vegetables. So what they do is they go to places that they shouldn't go in to just try to feed their family. Is it could they do better if they had a way to do better? And that's why, if you think about it, a lot of people leave out of pockets of poverty or pockets of working class places because they don't have access to healthy food. Now, can we look at the companies that go in these places? Sure, you can. From an ethical standpoint, can they do better? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, let's talk about what drives the economy. Business drives the economy. And from their standpoint, okay, we put jobs in the community, but it's not like these jobs pay a living wage, because every time we have conversations as people of color and people that are working class about raising the standard of living, then you have businesses say, well, we'll have to charge more. But if you bring in healthy food and they make a decent wage, isn't that what we want for our society? Isn't that what we're striving for as citizens? We're supposed to be one of the world leaders as far as a nation, but we still have people in desperate poverty. We still have people that live in food deserts, and we still don't pay people what they're worth. And everybody has found out now, especially from COVID, who the essential workers are. The essential workers are the people that are checking you out at grocery stores, the people that are helping you get food, the people that are helping to care for the seniors and elderly. These are all essential workers. People, they've been put down in our society by other people saying, oh, you only work at this place, or you only work at this fast food place, or you only work at this grocery store. But now we found out that our food chain matters. Truck drivers matter because they get it from market to here. Our grocery stores matter, especially when they're giving us quality food. Our farmers markets matter. And now they realize that clinicians, dietitians, nutritionists, they matter in our culture and in our life, because the only way to combat an unhealthy lifestyle is to eat better. And when we say eat, we're not just talking about eating 5 pounds of bread and, mystery meat. We're talking about healthy greens, all types of broccoli, carrots, spinach, all types of colorful fruits and vegetables, red peppers, onions, all these wonderful fruits and vegetables that a lot of kids don't even know what they are in their natural state. I was somewhere and I had a pomegranate in my hand, and a child was like, what is that? And I said, this is a wonderful fruit inside. It's what they make pomegranate juice from. And they had heard of palm, because everybody knows, or a lot of people know what that is, but they had not seen the fruit and how it's manifested. And the other part of it is, we like to eat out of season. That's not realistic for the body. We need to make sure that we're eating our fruits and vegetables in season, instead of having it come and we don't know what kind of pesticides and all those other things, because they're trying to make the food last long in shipping. But if we're eating in season, that's not something that we have to be concerned about. Dr. Evans, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely still taking notes, on the subject tonight, and I was so educated on this topic, which we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks going on with Jason and you talking about food all the way from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia, where you are. And I'm just taking notes, and as so many people are right now. I want to go to New York right quick. Patricia, you in New York City, you know what happened with COVID-19
Oh my.
up there. So many people are, again, when you first go into a particular grocery store, you have all the potato chips, and you have a lot of snacks and stuff right up front. But then you go to other restaurant or other quality food stores. You have you have fresh fruit up there, watermelons, cantaloupes, strawberries, blueberries. As soon as you walk in, I want you to address that, Patricia, being from New York and being multi-gifted, multi-talented in that background.
Well,
I grew up, Patricia. My father had his own garden. He would grow his own food, and when I was growing up, we didn't get sick that much. But now, Patricia, the food, the air, the water is all messed up. I want you to talk about it for a minute, Patricia.
It's different. And I remember Michelle saying she grew up around a fresh farm too. Is that correct, Michelle? But anyway, well, I guess we'll get back to her. But I remember I was very intrigued by the way Michelle grew up on a fresh farm food. I thought that was amazing. I would love to hear more about that. But in New York, I'm very lucky in my area. There is so much selections in food, but you definitely see the different grades, and it can be quite scary. So I very much question, where is my food coming from? Like Michelle mentioned, like that really is important. But I also want to tap into another topic that in Boston Medical Center, they decided to put a farm on the rooftops. And I just thought that was amazing. And they gave those produce to people who couldn't afford good food. And they are able to yearly give over 20,000 families fresh produce. And they make about 2,500 square foot of a rooftop produces about 6,000 pounds of fresh produce. And they even have a couple of beehives. And I really wish that this would really start spreading to other places. I think it'd be so beneficial. I think that is just so clever and innovative. But yeah, I'm very lucky that my area does have quite a variety. But you know what? You can't take it for granted. Where is this food coming from? Because I do see the different qualities. And over to Michelle, because I would love to hear her fresh farming life.
Michelle gonna put it down in a few minutes. I want to go to Salisbury, Maryland. Then we're gonna come back to Michelle. Miss White, I wanted you to talk about you in Salisbury, Maryland, not too far from Ocean City. I don't know if you know too much about fish. The farm-raised fish, farm-raised salmon versus fresh salmon that you can get called king salmon. I got some tonight. They don't even have that in certain grocery markets. They don't even sell king salmon there because for some reason or another. But I wanted you to talk about growing up. Did your parents raise you up eating hog head cheese, brains? I don't know if you guys know about brains. That's way back in the day. South meat. Even that food back in there was still better than some of the food we eat today because the air was different, the food was different, the quality of the food was different. I wanted to talk a bit about growing up, what type of foods you was eating growing up versus what's out there now that you won't touch.
Thank you, Doc.
Go ahead, Miss White. You got to take them off mute. Come off mute. You got to come off. You got to come off mute. Come off mute. You got to come off mute. Okay.
No, you just put it back on.
Okay. All right. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. So it brought back memories as I was hearing the stories as being raised on the Eastern Shore, where there is a lot of farming. Being raised on the shore gave us so much access to the farms, to the fresh water, the fish, the crabs, everything from the water to the fresh fruits and vegetables, even down to the live chickens that were come from the farm. So to go to the farm store and pick up an apple or a tomato and be able to eat it just by wiping off, it on your clothes and tasting the freshness. And I mean, the taste then compared to now is completely different. But
Yeah.
those are the benefits of being raised in an area where there was a lot of farms. Even now, you have a lot of farm stands, farm stand stores, and a lot of people prefer to shop there versus going into a local grocery store. And that's because the produce is always fresh. They don't use a lot of the insecticides for the food, and it's just better. The quality is better. It lasts longer. The preservatives, you don't have that. So one of the other things I like about the Eastern Shore is you see a lot of communities that are coming together now. And this is the best time of the year for it, where they make the community gardens. So they make an effort to teach the young children about the importance of fresh fruits and vegetables. You have tomatoes and cucumbers. You have the squash, zucchini. Some of the vegetables they may have never even been familiar with. But the fact that the community comes together, sometimes it's just healthcare workers, sometimes it's local churches that come together, but they form a community function where they actually take a area of land and they designate it specifically for that community to be able to come free of charge and pick whatever they want. And they have different people that will come in and take care of the crops, pulling up the weeds and everything to make sure that the produce is it's growing and it's plentiful. So those are my memories from then and even now, from the benefits of being on the Eastern Shore, because there is definitely a lot of farmland. Not too familiar with the different types of fish, but let me tell you, when I grew up, in my household, we had a little bit of everything. We had the soul food, we had the seafood, so much variety. But because back then, the cost of fresh fruits and vegetables was very inexpensive. And like I believe it was Michelle that said, when you go into the store now, what you see that's inexpensive is the processed meats, the processed cheese, the breads, the chips, the crackers, the soda pops. All of those things are made so readily available now. And a lot of kids don't even know the benefit of the fresh fruits and vegetables. They'll tell you they want to go to the fast food before you say, no, let me fix you a salad. And they're not having that. So definitely the life on the Eastern Shore was very beneficial. It was very beneficial, and it still is, because of the access to the farms and the immediate area where the fresh fruits and vegetables were being grown.
Dr. Evans,
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. You got me going, man. Hey, we having a wonderful time up here giving education on the PIC TV network. I'm excited about all of you who are watching with us from around the world on our PIC TV network Business World channel. Again, we're talking about eating healthy foods or foods for life. We're going to take a brief commercial break and come right back. Don't touch that dial. Invite somebody in. Those on social media, bring some folk in, push that like button, push that share button, send your comments. We can see them all over the place. And we're happy today. We're beaming all the way from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to New York City, all the way down to Salisbury, Maryland, and DMV where I'm at. So we're happy for all of you. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Food and Drug Administration. You know, we're going to talk about what's the body made to eat all this meat. We're going to talk about cooking your own food, body appreciation. Does your body appreciate when you cook your own food? And is there a difference? So we're going to come right back, everybody, right after this brief commercial, and we'll see you in a second. Hey, thank you again, everybody, for coming back with us. We're on the PIC TV network. Our business world news is on right now. Again, our special guests are our panelists talking about food for life. And I'm so happy that these experts are on today talking about food choices. And this is a series number 1 that we're coming to you all the way from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia, to New York City, to Salisbury, Maryland, to Washington, D.C. So we're so happy for the PIC TV network, our network beaming this information to you all over the world, and especially for those who are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, even Clubhouse from Audio Vision, and coming soon, Alexa. So we're happy for all of you watching right now. I want to go back to Jason in Seattle, Washington, and ask him about cooking your own food. The best food I have, Jason, is when I cook my own chicken or my own fish, my vegetables, my squash. I eat that almost every day, and my broccoli. I try to get away from a lot of fast food that I normally was eating 10, 15 years ago, because I'm 58 now, and I'll be 59 in 48 hours. So in 48 hours, I'll be 59. But my body changed. I haven't drank sodas in 7 years. I got away from all those. I never drink strong sodas anyway, but I drink more water. I eat salads at least 3 times a week. But Jason, talk about cooking your own foods, brother. Come on.
Well, I think before talking about cooking our own food is really assessing if the food that we put into our body, cooked or not cooked, is actually going to be absorbed by our body. And one of the things that we tend to miss the boat on is we could put the best things in our body, the best things known to man, but if our bodies won't absorb them, then it just becomes very expensive waste. Okay. And this is what we have to look at. Do we have the right intestinal flora in our system? That's the probiotics, the prebiotics that will help to build the right digestive, it's called the microflora, okay? The bacteria, the fungi, the different elements that are inside of our system that help break our food down. It liberates nutrients, delivers to our systems what it needs in order to run properly. It also has the ability to create the vitamins that our body needs in a usable form so we can uptake them and protect our bodies. If we don't have those things intact, then we can cook our food at home, get the most organic food, and then we put it into our bodies and it's like, well, why am I not getting better? And that's because our body's not breaking our foods down properly and it doesn't know what to do with them once they get into our system. So we got to start there. Then after that, then we have to look at what are we cooking our food in. If we are steaming our food, sometimes we don't realize that the heat from the steam is more intense than actually boiling our food, because the steam, it is at a higher temperature in order to create steam. Steam starts at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, you're pretty much destroying enzymes anyway. So then, you're steaming it and it gets higher than that because as the steam is, being created, your temperature in the food is actually breaking down those enzymes. So then the body has to borrow from its own stores, its metabolic enzymes in order to now recreate the enzymes to break down the food because you've denatured that food. The body no longer knows what to do with it. So once we do that, that means that our body is now robbed Peter to pay Paul. It moves these enzymes from what it should be doing, which is breathing, walking, sleeping, moving, digesting food, going through other metabolic actions like eliminating wastes, repairing tissues, all of that. And now we've said, hey, yeah, don't do that. You got to now digest this food because we've denatured it. And if we don't digest the food, guess what happens? It'll ferment or it will rot in your system. If it ferments or rots, it's going to produce alcohol that the liver has to now process, or it will putrefy. And then bacteria, parasites, different things like that grow on that rotting protein. So there's some dynamics that we've got to keep in mind that if we don't properly handle our internals first, then watch what we cook our food in, how we cook them. We could be cooking them in vessels that are actually distributing metals into our foods, other fluorocarbons into our foods. If you're cooking stuff in nonstick pans, that thing, when it heats up to a certain point, you're getting those chemicals inside of your body, inside of your food. So you eat that, and now you walk around and you're a walking billboard for the companies that create the nonstick. I won't say names, but you could research those. It's quite easy. And a matter of fact, I was looking at a study not too long ago, and it was talking about how they tested every blood sample that they've tested. They found nonstick material in that blood, from the umbilical cord blood to the regular grown adults, babies, fetuses, all the way up to grown adults, and then people who have expired. They found that material in every one of those bodies. That's pretty bad. That means that we're saturated with that. And then we're wondering why our bodies are operating in disrepair, why we are getting certain diseases. There are certain diseases that did not exist back some 50, 60, 70 years ago. And now those things are so regular that we're told that 1 in every 3 persons is going to get cancer or heart disease or diabetes. Why is that? Well, it's because the nutrients in our foods are lacking. So our bodies take it in, don't know what to do with it, and then have to borrow from its own stores in order to process it. and move it out of the system. So, that's a long way of saying that, yeah, we could talk about the cooking, and, we can fry, we can, bake, we can air fry, we can ferment. Well, ferment would be really good. We can press. I mean, there's a lot of different cooking methods. I've used many of them, if not all of them, and none of them hold a candle to if you can't actually absorb that food that you put into your system. It's only going to taste good. That's all you got going for you. Food tastes really good. You just can't use it. And on that note, I'm done with that statement.
That was awesome. I've got so much notes I can write my own book. We're hearing from Jason. It was the awesome information. We needed to hear that. I want to go to Atlanta, Georgia, and ask Michelle about Food and Drug Administration. Is food a really drug? Michelle, I want you to answer that. Is food a drug? And then my doctor told me that I have to stay on high blood pressure and cholesterol medicine for the rest of my life. And then he told me about a DASH diet, and he told me to go on a plant-based diet. I refuse to stay on be a legal drug addict all my life. I think your body can reset itself. I believe you take care of yourself, and it can decrease. And he said, if you lose weight, and I'm not big at all, if your numbers go down, I'll take you off of it. So I went from being on it for the rest of your life to going on a DASH diet, then going on a plant-based diet. Then if your numbers go down, I can take you off of it. So there's millions of people watching us right now, Michelle. Is food a drug? And answer that question about if we take care of ourselves, we can get better, not bitter. Come on, Michelle.
Well, let's think about it this way. Food is medicine. If you go to a hospital, and depending on what you're going there for, they have dietary regulations. I have a friend that she was just in the hospital, and she was suffering from pancreatitis. Now, she needed to have certain foods in order for it not to act up, because this is something she's going to have the rest of her life. My father also had hypertension, but his was stress and salt induced by the military, because I remember running track and they were like, hey, you need to suck down these salt pills because you're losing all these electrolytes. But they didn't mitigate for the fact that a lot of times when we cook, we're already adding in salt. I stopped taking salt years ago. I'm not a salt person. I don't shake salt. I don't cook with it because there's so many different spices. So food is medication. And so if medication is a drug, then food is a drug. That's why it's regulated. But the best food for your body are natural, fresh fruits and vegetables. You can have meats, but again, I can't state this enough, making sure that you know where your meats are sourced from. And as Jason said, what you cook them in and how you cook them is very important. You were talking earlier about farm raised versus fresh salmon. Now, there are sockeye salmon, Copper River salmon, and several other salmons that are coming from the cold waters of Alaska and off the northeastern point. These are not farm raised. You don't want farm raised salmon or farm raised fish because they add colors. They add dyes and everything to make it the color. And it's still not that bright red color when you get a wild sockeye salmon, and the taste isn't the same. The other thing is we need to have more fiber in our diet, because Jason talked about the flora and he talked about having those probiotics. Well, you can get probiotics by eating really good Greek yogurt. And you can also get probiotics by eating dried plums, which we know are prunes. I wish they changed the name of that, because we could probably get more kids to eat it if we called it something else, because it's like candy, but there's no sugar in it and it's delicious. And I eat prunes every day, because how your body eliminates waste is also how healthy it is. And if you're eating all this stuff and you're not eliminating the waste properly, then your body isn't healthy. And let's talk about extra virgin olive oil. It has the good fats you need to maintain that soluble fat and soluble fiber you need to, one, fight off disease, because there's good fats and bad fats. And we want to make sure that we're getting those healthy fats and those omega-3s. All good things for your diet. That's why you need a healthy balance of all things. You need some good fat. You need some protein. You need lots of plants. I used to bake my own bread. I grew up in Mississippi, and we had a lot of farmers. I worked for a truck farmer. So I was always eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and my mother was a farm girl. So she fed us fruits and vegetables. I think there's only one vegetable I don't care for, but I've learned to eat it, and that was beets. And now that I had a friend of mine as a chef, he's like, if you roast them, they have a better flavor instead of doing the brine thing, and they're better for you. Plus, if you make red velvet cake, you can make it with monk fruit, and you can use beet juice for the red color instead of using dye. And so it's a healthier alternative. There's ways to have these healthier alternatives. And the other thing is, step back from the table. Sometimes we just eat too much. We don't need to consume big meals. We've always been told, oh, the starving children in Africa. Well, the thing about it is, our body doesn't require as many calories as we think. They say 2,000 calories. 2,000 calories if you're a weightlifter. If you eat 12 to 1,500 calories a day, that's more than enough to sustain you, especially if you're eating fresh fruits and vegetables. You'd be surprised if you had a choice of 5 fruits and vegetables on your plate, a little bit of meat, and maybe a slice of bread, you still wouldn't come up to 400 calories, and you could almost eat all the vegetables you want. Then let's talk about celery and cucumbers and carrots. Celery will keep you regular. So will cucumbers. And carrots, awesome for the eyes. I'm almost 60 and I don't wear glasses, but I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and carrots are on that. Then let's talk about, you talked about watermelon. Watermelon contains lycopene. Lycopene is good for your heart. Now, I talked about garlic. You're talking about your blood pressure. Garlic is one of the best ways to get your blood pressure down. And a little bit of cinnamon with your oatmeal will also help. One, you've got that soluble fiber, and the cinnamon will help lower the blood pressure. Jason, what do you think?
Oh, I love cinnamon. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't like how cinnamon tastes. I love what it does. Okay, let's be clear. I have to have cinnamon with like something like mace or ginger, something else to kind of balance out that flavor. But it is antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal, antiseptic. So it has a lot of benefits, especially when you are dealing with, different types of diseases, viruses, things like that. Cinnamon is a great thing to have in your arsenal. Cinnamon or cinnamon oil, awesome.
Now, Selena, what do you think? What's your go-to as far as the things that keep you healthy, as when we talk about nutrients, and then we're talking more so about herbs and those kind of things?
I'm a herb girl by heart. I love herbs. Instead of using a lot of seasoning, parsley, basil, oregano. I'm all down for it. Green onion, scallion, I'm down. The best thing that I like to do is take the fresh fruits and vegetables. And you talk about beets. Beets were not my favorite, but one of the things that I do enjoy is when I take beets and put them into a fruit smoothie. I'll take that frozen banana. I'll take those beets and dice them up with some pears and apples. And I tell you, you're talking about the best filler. So definitely fruits and vegetables, definitely the juicing, definitely using the air fryer, the pressure cooker, helps so much. And it makes a difference as far as your vitality, your energy level, everything. It's so that would be my contribution.
All right, Patricia, what's your go-to as far as when you cook with herbs and things like that? What's your go-to herb? Fill us in.
Oh my gosh, I really love the fresh pressed garlic. I use my garlic press. That thing again, it's like I can't get enough of it. But I do want to bring something up right before I eat, and you know what? That is thanking my food. Because I really believe how you feel about your food, because I've witnessed even myself, perhaps at times eating something and then feeling not good about it, even like as I shouldn't be eating, like, and again, I'm not talking about lately, but I just remember that. And I also witnessed other people, about to eat something. Oh, this is terrible, but I'm gonna, I just feel like you got to talk to your food. You got to thank your food. I really believe it starts there. We're very thankful to be able to eat because there's people starving around the world, not to pull that card, but it's the honest truth. And especially during these hard times. So I just want to thank our food, and but to answer your question, my garlic press wins every time.
Oh, I love garlic. And the thing about it is, for those around the world that is listening, raw, unfiltered honey is the best honey for you. You have to make sure you know where your honey's grown. It's great to keep your histamines down. And that's right now we're moving from spring to summer. So we've got all this pollen and all these other good things in the air because we need pollen for the bees to pollinate our plants. But at the same time, you can get an overabundance. So you're eating wild raw honey grown in your area. That will help keep the sinus problems down. Other things that you can do, get out and walk, and get a little sunshine. I know everybody's been stuck in the house, but for those folks that just literally 15 minutes of sunshine every day will raise your vitamin D levels. You need vitamin D to help your body absorb the nutrients in the food that you eat. And people don't even realize that. So get outside, stretch a little bit. You don't have to do anything overly strenuous, but all these things will help you. Now, there's a list literally of all the wonderful things that you can cook with besides salt. I have an arsenal of spices that I cook with: cardamom, cinnamon, allspice, and look for farmers markets in your area. As we have gone to natural alternatives, there are more and more and more. There are a couple of new ones. They don't cost a lot. And what we used to do when I was living in upstate New York, we were in a share program. And so what we would do is we pool our resources and our monies together, and we would get someone from we had a church van, and we would go and we would pick up all this fresh produce. This still can happen in your communities, no matter where you are. There are a lot of great programs right now to make sure that people that live in food deserts are starting to get better produce and better food. The time is now to start working with your neighbors to make sure that you are getting that. Jason, to you, I see you have a response.
Yeah, there was when you talked about that, the co-op model and your community coming together to get those foods. What I loved about that is that you can have that designated person who now picks up all of the things, and you can go to the farms who are producing things without the sprays and all of that, get it at really good prices. Because here's the thing is that what many don't realize is that the reason why organic produce is quote unquote so expensive is not because it's more expensive to produce. Because actually, organic, you don't have subsidization of the fertilizers and all the other garbage that goes on with conventional crops. The reason why organic foods are pricier is because sometimes those fruits don't grow like in the perfect apple shape, right? The perfect carrot shape. You may see a carrot that has like two roots that are connected, and then it's unsightly in the stores because we've been programmed over here in the Western world that everything has to look uniform. We don't realize what nature actually looks like. So when we see it, we're like, oh, I don't want to eat that. So that ends up getting chucked to the side when they go to get the food food from the organic farmers. So they lose about 30% just to the immediate kickback, to where they're like not even going to accept those in the stores. Then when things go to the stores, there's another weeding out process. Okay. Process. If my kids were around, they'd say, Dad, it's process. Okay. Process. You already know, right, Michelle? Process. And then so that means that the amount that the stores end up selling, the farmers are the ones that take the hit for that. So then the stores, because it's less produce that they're putting out, because the other ones are unsightly, they may have like a hole here, maybe they see a worm, whatever. People don't want to buy that because they don't know what it looks like. So the prices go up because now they're down to about 30% of what they brought from the farm, in the stores, and then they're selling that. Okay, so there's a reason to that. So if you go straight to the farms and say, hey, you know what, I want your best produce, and I'm not talking about the best cosmetically, I'm talking about the best health-wise, nutritional-wise, you will end up with some shapes that aren't the norm, but they're full of flavor, full of nutrients. It'll be healthier for your family, and you actually drive the cost down of what it would normally be to do your grocery shopping. So I love that co-op model. You will get so much more, so much healthier. You will eradicate the majority of the sicknesses in your household.
Well, let's talk about this. There is a site called Ugly Food and Ugly Fruit. I love that because you can get so much more food from them. And right now they deliver. And that was great for me because, with COVID and fighting breast cancer, and I had a hip fracture, having that wonderful food. And I love the ugly tomatoes. They call them ugly tomatoes, but they're actually heirloom tomatoes. And these were grown from these wonderful seeds. And oh my God, you can just bite into them like apples. And they were so delicious because people believe tomatoes are a vegetable, but they're actually a fruit. And they're made to be eaten like fruit. But when you take those tomatoes and with a little extra virgin olive oil on them, oh, amazing. I love eating fruits and vegetables. Well, I'm getting into my season of the next harvest will be coming in. So I want to make some pasta sauce. And,
I know where I'm going.
Garlic and onions, and Selena talked about scallions. Oh my God. I was like, yes. I am ready to make some food. And the other part of it is, even when we talk about having processed foods, it's still everything in moderation. You can't eat processed food every day. Your body doesn't like it. And your body's going to rebel. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Your glycemic index is going to go up. For those people that are diabetic, that's part of it. But I got a sister friend of mine. She's reduced her A1Cs by eating more clean. And she went from having literally, because diabetes runs in her family, her mother was born insulin dependent, but she's off of her medication because she's learned how to turn it around. And the other part of it is you don't have to eat. Don't eat after 8 o'clock. Your body doesn't need it. When we talk about intermittent fasting, if you stop eating from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., that'll cover your intermittent fasting right there while you sleep. And it also gives your body time to rejuvenate. Now, the other thing that's really good is organic teas. The teas, number one, they keep your throat clear because, people are like, the people that weren't getting COVID were drinking a lot of hot liquids, teas and soups and things with garlic and onion and all those wonderful things. I am a tea girl, lots of water, lots of hot tea. Number one, keeps that skin right. Got to drink that water because that's what Patricia came with. She's like, got to drink the water. It hydrates you and everything grows in water. So to everybody everywhere, simple little tricks will help you stay healthy. You don't have to change a lot. Change a little bit every day. You like cookies? Bake your own. There's all kinds of wonderful natural flours. There's all kinds of wonderful natural sweeteners that you can do and bake your own cookies. But if you have a cookie every once in a while, is it going to kill you? No. But if you eat cookies every day, is it bad for you? Absolutely, because sugar knocks out probiotics. If you ever wonder why, and I'm talking to my ladies, and I'm sorry, Jason, but I'm gonna ask you to cover your ears for a second. You ever wonder why you might have infections down there? Because you're out of balance when you have too much sugar. And that's why we have to be careful. We have to take care of our bodies. And part of that is making sure that we have enough water, we exercise, we eat fresh fruits and vegetables. And right now, Selena, I want you to give everybody one tip that you work on and that you do every day, because I know you're a woman of God, and I know prayer is right up there on top of that list. You go.
Thank you, Michelle. You're absolutely right. Prayer is definitely up there. But one of the things that I love to do when you talk about teas, I'm a ginger girl. I love ginger. I'll drink ginger tea, hot or cold. And I tell you, it helps to process the food. It helps with inflammation. It helps with colds. It has so many benefits. So I would definitely encourage everyone to begin to be mindful about the consumption of food. I know we all get busy. I know sometimes we're overlapping. We're robbing from time here and robbing from time there, but make it intentional. Make it intentional when you eat. Try to do meal prep. When you go to the grocery store, don't go hungry. They say that a lot of times, but it's true. You go to the store and you're hungry, you find yourself picking up a little bit of everything. And it definitely is not on that list, right? So be intentional about your shopping. Have an idea. Plan out your meals before you even go to the store. Know what you need for each meal. Include those vegetables and include the fruits and the salads. If you're going to do the meat, do the lean meat, you know. Um, but definitely be intentional and be mindful about what we're consuming. That would be my tip, Michelle.
And Selena, that's a great tip. Patricia, you talked about water and other things. Give us something that you can give to everybody right now. Just one tip on how they can have a better and more healthy life choice.
Well, I also believe in using all your senses. So besides, thanking your food, smell your food, the nose tells a lot, I have a cousin who's a great baker. I never really mastered that. And she told me, I said, how do you know when it's ready? She goes, the nose. And I'm not as good as her still, but I've definitely gotten better. Something doesn't smell good, don't eat it. So, don't forget to use your nose. It's quite important. And again, back to the water, I am very mindful of when I'm cooking foods that aren't rinsed easily with water. Just think of what it's doing to your pipes. I was a chocolate-aholic once upon a time. Anybody that knows me, that was my biggest downfall, is like chocolate. And when I started making chocolate at home and I couldn't get that off the pan, no matter how hot the water, I was like, wow, it really opened my eyes and changed my whole outlook on chocolate. And it was quite sad, but I tell you what, it really made me aware of what that is doing to my arteries. So if it's not coming off the pan easily with water, maybe you should think twice before you have it. But it's all about purifying, So yeah, that's what I have to say about it. Back to you, Michelle.
Patricia, that's a great point. And I know I had to cut back on cheese, and I love cheese. But as you said, if it's not coming off your forks, if it's not coming off your plate easily, it's not coming out of your arteries easily. And so it's those little things that help us to become better every day. Now, the other part of it is we have to move more. I know in this age of COVID, everybody, as we say, a lot of people put on COVID weight. But the other part of it is, how are you feeding your mind? I wrote 5 books during COVID, actually 6.
Congratulations.
Because unless you're rich, You can't be bored. I tell my grandkids that all the time. Oh, Grammy, I'm bored. No, you're not bored. You're not rich yet. You haven't read every book there is to read. You don't know the encyclopedia, or you don't know the dictionary backwards and forwards. So there's no way you can be bored. This is a great time to invest in yourself mentally, because once you're investing in yourself mentally and you're conscious, you're going to be conscious not only about your body, but what you're putting in it. Mm-hmm. And that's why you can pick up Eating for Life more easily than you think. It's small little changes that will help you to be healthier every day. Now, I know that we here at the PIC TV network have people that are looking at us from all over the world. This is a time as a community that we can help each other. And part of helping each other is sharing our food, sharing our strength, making sure that we're watching out for our neighbors. That hasn't gone anywhere just because we've had COVID. There are a lot of people out there helping. If you're in a food desert somewhere, get with other people that are there and look for all these other resources. Sometimes you have to make a phone call. Sometimes it's a walk, but you'd be surprised at how you guys can collectively work together to build not only a better community, but a better world. Dr. David Evans, this is the PIC TV network. We're going to take this back to you.
Thank you, Michelle. I mean, I guess that's why you are the PIC TV network's PR person, the brains operation, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody's watching with us. We're in a series of our brand new topic that we're going to be talking about, food for life. And those who watch, this is an educational news channel business that we want you to know. Our network does 4 things. We inspire you. That's why we have inspirational speakers, from Bishop Noel Jones to other inspirational speakers coming on. We have something coming on with Les Brown in the future. Some great opportunities to be motivated and encouraged. Then we also have information with COVID-19, and where we have the information forms like we're doing now, our own television news channel on the PIC TV network, Business World News. This is for you. This channel is designed for everyone who wants to live a long, healthy life eating the right foods. All of us have to eat. We have to know what's going into our body. That's why we're having this healthy forum tonight, and what's going to go on for the next 4 weeks. So you got to come back on next week to hear part 2. We're going to get even deeper into it. With the information we learned tonight, all of us going to be better, because we're going to be more wise about what we put into our bodies. I want to thank the panel who did an awesome job from all the way to Seattle, Washington. Seattle Seahawks is in the house, y'all. So we want to say, Jason, thank you, man, for popping in from Seattle. Thank you, Michelle Cox, who is our PR person from Atlanta, Georgia, coming in tonight. We thank you, Patricia, who's on our team, joining up to help us out on the PIC TV network from New York City, and all the way from down Salisbury, Maryland, Sister White, who came in. Thank you for coming in. And our special audience, we have a brand new Facebook page. It is called the PIC TV Network, our Facebook page. You can look at this over and over again. We're live on so many platforms now. This is our news channel. If you want to be a part of the PIC TV Network, Business World News Channel, all you have to do is to email us at the PIC TV Network at gmail.com. We would love to have you on the news with us. And maybe you can share some information on how you can be a part of our big segments that we got coming up. Thank you, everybody. We're going to close out this segment. It's been a blast having you on. And don't forget to do the repeat button. Push it over again. Look at this over and over again till you get it, and demonstrate it. Do something with what you heard. This is the PIC TV Network. Thank you for your time, everybody. So long.
We've all been hurt at some point, even abandoned. Many of us have done the hurting ourselves. We get to the point where we don't trust anyone, nor do we feel worthy of being loved by anyone. Then there's that one person who just doesn't give up on loving you. Their love is unconditional. Their love stays long enough for you to heal. And then they promise to never leave. That's love you can count on. God's love.